The agricultural landscape of the United States in the early 1940s was changing faster than most farmers could adapt. Across the wide fields of the Midwest, workloads were increasing, equipment demands were rising, and soil conditions were becoming increasingly unforgiving. It was a turning point in American agriculture, when reliability was no longer optional and durability became the defining measure of a tractor's worth. It was in this transformative environment that the McCormick-Deering W-4 emerged. Built by International Harvester, the W-4 was designed not as a showpiece or a technological experiment, but as a dependable partner for farmers who needed a machine capable of surviving long days and harsh conditions. Its purpose was straightforward: to deliver steady, predictable power without mechanical drama or unnecessary complications. At the same time, Allis-Chalmers had begun capturing attention with tractors that were lighter, more agile, and marketed as modern solutions for the evolving farm. To many farmers, these machines appeared practical and approachable. Yet beneath this competitive appeal, a deeper contrast in engineering philosophy was forming. Allis-Chalmers prioritized reduced weight and ease of handling, while International Harvester focused on structural strength, long-term endurance, and engines tuned for reliable torque rather than headline-grabbing performance figures. The McCormick-Deering W-4 was a direct expression of this philosophy. Built on a standard tread platform with a wide stance, it was engineered to remain stable on uneven ground and to withstand repeated heavy use. Its cast-iron construction gave it the physical resilience needed for long workdays that often stretched to 10, 12, or even 14 hours. Farmers understood that a tractor was not simply a tool, it was the backbone of their livelihood. And International Harvester designed the W-4 accordingly. As the tractor began appearing on farms across the plains, something became increasingly clear. The W-4 handled soft soil with confidence where lighter tractors hesitated. It maintained traction during demanding pulls and carried out tasks that overwhelmed machines designed with lighter frames or experimental engineering. Day after day, season after season, the W-4 demonstrated a kind of consistency that farmers quickly learned to trust. While Allis-Chalmers continued to attract interest, the McCormick-Deering W-4 was building a reputation that marketing alone could never achieve. It was earning loyalty through performance, through quiet resilience, and through a kind of strength that mattered far more in the field than in a brochure. In these formative years, the foundation of a true mechanical rivalry was being laid. What separated these machines was not merely horsepower or price. It was the difference between innovation aimed at novelty and engineering aimed at survival. And within that competition, the W-4 was beginning to stand out exactly where it mattered most to American farmers. The true strength of the McCormick-Deering W-4 did not come from bold advertising claims or experimental concepts. It came from engineering decisions that prioritized longevity, predictable performance, and the practical needs of American farmers. To understand why the W-4 eventually outperformed many Allis-Chalmers competitors, one must look closely at the substance beneath its simple exterior. At the heart of the W-4 was a robust gasoline engine engineered with an emphasis on torque rather than high-speed output. While many manufacturers chased horsepower figures designed to catch attention, International Harvester focused on what mattered in the field: steady pulling power at low and moderate engine speeds. The W-4 produced its strength in a way that suited real farm tasks, whether dragging implements through heavy soil or operating equipment that demanded consistent rotational force. Its power curve was intentionally built for work that lasted 10 hours or more, not for momentary technical demonstrations. Supporting that engine was a transmission designed for durability instead of complexity. With a set of practical gear ratios, the W-4 allowed the operator to choose speeds that matched specific field conditions without straining the drivetrain. Each shift point had been engineered to balance traction, soil resistance, and mechanical load, creating a harmonious relationship between engine output and ground performance. Farmers quickly noticed that the tractor did not fight against itself, it worked with the operator, not against him. The physical construction of the W-4 played an equally critical role in its long-term reputation. Its cast-iron frame was heavier than many of its Allis-Chalmers counterparts, but that weight served a purpose. It provided stability on uneven terrain, reduced wheel slip in soft soil, and allowed the tractor to apply its torque more effectively. In an era when lighter machines were often marketed as modern and convenient, the W4 demonstrated that strategic weight could be a decisive advantage. Its structure absorbed stress that might bend or fatigue lighter frames over time, ensuring that the tractor stayed true even after many seasons of demanding work. For International Harvester, maintenance accessibility was not a secondary consideration, it was a core engineering principle. Farmers living miles from dealerships or repair shops needed machines that could be serviced with basic tools and practical knowledge. The W4 embodied this philosophy. Key components were positioned for straightforward inspection, lubrication points were easy to reach, and the engine layout encouraged routine upkeep rather than discouraging it. This ease of maintenance contributed significantly to the tractor's long service life, making it a reliable partner rather than a fragile investment. Meanwhile, Allis-Chalmers tractors of the same era often appealed through lighter handling and reduced material usage. These features certainly had advantages, but they also introduced limitations. Light frames tended to lose stability under heavy draft loads, and engines optimized for agility sometimes lacked the torque reserves needed for deep tillage or hard plowing. The contrast between the two engineering approaches became evident whenever a farmer connected a heavy implement or encountered soil that demanded more than superficial power. For the American farmer, these differences were not abstract mechanical concepts, they were lived experiences. The W4 became known as a tractor that could be trusted to do what others only claimed. It pulled steadily through fields that challenged lighter machines, handled long workdays with composed reliability, and asked for little beyond routine care. This consistency translated into emotional reassurance. Farmers felt confident hitching the W4 to difficult tasks, knowing it would respond with the same steady character day after day. Through its engineering, the McCormick-Deering W-4 established itself as a machine built on substance rather than promises. Every component, from the engine to the frame, reflected International Harvester's belief that durability and torque mattered more than trends. And in farms across the Midwest, this philosophy was becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. The true measure of the McCormick-Deering W-4 did not emerge in factories, brochures, or dealer lots. It emerged in the fields, on long days when machines were pushed to their limits and farmers had no patience for excuses. In these real working conditions, the W4 began to separate itself from lighter and more modern-looking competitors. What many had first viewed as a simple, straightforward tractor soon revealed itself as a machine built for the unforgiving reality of American agriculture. Farmers quickly discovered that the W4 possessed a remarkable ability to retain traction where others faltered. In heavy clay soil, where implements bit deep and demanded unwavering torque, lighter tractors often struggled. Wheels slipped, momentum broke, and operators were forced to make repeated adjustments to keep moving. But the W4, with its carefully balanced weight and sturdy frame, delivered a steadier pull. Its mass worked in its favor, pressing its tires into the ground and transforming engine torque into forward motion rather than wheel spin. Tasks that brought other machines to a halt became routine work for the W4. In softer, moisture-rich soils, the contrast was even more pronounced. Many Allis-Chalmers models, engineered for agility and reduced weight, excelled on firm ground but faced limitations when the earth turned loose or unstable. Their lighter frames simply could not anchor the torque they attempted to produce. Farmers described losing valuable time as they repositioned their tractors, reduced implement depth, or waited for conditions to improve. The W4, by contrast, demonstrated a calm steadiness. Its deliberate weight distribution allowed the tractor to keep its footing, maintaining directional control and traction even when pulling through challenging textures of soil. Work that was expected to take an entire day could be completed in 6 or 7 hours, an advantage that earned the respect of operators who valued efficiency as much as strength. The W4 also distinguished itself during long workdays, the kind that stretched to 10, 12, or even 14 hours. Many tractors showed their weaknesses only after several hours of continuous strain, when heat, mechanical stress, and operator fatigue became decisive factors. Machines with engines tuned for quick bursts of performance tended to lose consistency over time. Torque fluctuated, pulling force weakened, and gearboxes grew increasingly difficult to control. The W-4, however, had been engineered for endurance. Its engine maintained a stable output across long intervals, allowing implements to run smoothly without repeated adjustments. The tractor did not feel faster, it felt steadier, and that steadiness was precisely what farmers relied upon when deadlines approached and weather windows narrowed. Stories from the fields during this era often carried a similar theme. A farmer would begin a season with a lighter Allis-Chalmers tractor, praising its maneuverability and ease of handling. But when the soil turned demanding or when workloads increased, the limitations of reduced weight and lighter construction became unmistakable. Some operators recounted moments when their lighter tractors struggled to pull basic tillage tools through firm ground, forcing them to borrow a neighbor's W-4. After witnessing the difference firsthand, the way the McCormick-Deering tractor leaned into the earth with confidence, many of those farmers made a permanent switch. These transitions were not driven by brand loyalty or marketing influence. They were driven by experience. Farmers valued machines that could be trusted, season after season, to complete tasks without hesitation or fragility. The W-4 offered exactly that, a dependable, consistent performance that matched the real demands of agricultural work. Its ability to withstand fatigue, maintain traction, and deliver usable torque made it a tractor that farmers did more than operate. They relied on it. In the end, the W-4 proved its worth not through innovation for innovation's sake, but by excelling in the kind of work that truly mattered. It did not need to be the lightest, the fastest, or the most modern-looking machine. It needed only to do the job, through long days, tough soil, and changing seasons. And in the fields of the American Midwest, it did that better than most. The legacy of the McCormick-Deering W-4 was not defined by awards, advertising campaigns, or dramatic technological breakthroughs. It was defined by decades of work, quiet, consistent, and deeply woven into the lives of the farmers who depended on it. As American agriculture continued to evolve through the late 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s, the W-4 became more than a tractor. It became a symbol of what reliable engineering could accomplish when placed in the service of real people. Across the Midwest, many W-4 units remained in operation for 10, 20, and even 30 years. Farmers often spoke of them not as machines that aged, but as partners that endured. Their engines, tuned for steady torque rather than high-speed output, continued to start each season with the same determined character. Their heavy frames, once considered old-fashioned by some, revealed their value year after year by resisting structural fatigue and maintaining stability under demanding loads. In an era when agricultural technology was accelerating, the W-4 stood as proof that durability could outshine novelty. The engineering philosophy behind the W-4 shaped future international harvester designs in profound ways. Long after its introduction, the company continued to emphasize strength, serviceability, and predictable field performance. Many later tractors inherited design principles tested through the W-4, reinforced housings, torque-oriented powertrains, and operator-friendly maintenance layouts. Engineers recognized that the success of the W-4 was not accidental. It was the natural outcome of building a machine around the needs of farmers rather than the trends of the industry. Allis-Chalmers, meanwhile, pursued a different path. The company continued to innovate with lighter frames, new mechanical concepts, and specialized tractors. These machines certainly had their place in the agricultural landscape, and many proved valuable in specific tasks. But the contrast in philosophies persisted. International Harvester focused on longevity and heavy-duty reliability, while Allis-Chalmers emphasized maneuverability and modern engineering ideas. For many farmers working in demanding field conditions, the difference became clear over time. A tractor built to withstand decades of tension, vibration, and pulling force often delivered more value than one designed primarily for ease of operation. The emotional legacy of the W-4 was equally significant. In countless rural communities, these tractors remained in families long after newer models became available. Some sat in barns as backup machines, others continued plowing and cultivating well into later decades. Farmers passed them down not because they were sentimental, but because the tractors had earned a place in the rhythm of daily work. The W-4 was a machine that asked little but gave much, one that reflected the values of the people who relied on it: resilience, honesty, and steady strength. Stories of W-4 tractors still running after 4 or 5 decades were common. Many had undergone engine rebuilds or received fresh coats of paint, yet their core remained unchanged, a testament to international harvesters' understanding of what real durability meant. For some families, the tractor represented more than work, it represented continuity. Seasons changed, technologies advanced, and farms modernized, but the W-4 stood as a reminder of a time when machinery was built to last rather than to be replaced. Ultimately, the triumph of the McCormick-Deering W-4 was a quiet one. It did not dominate headlines or spark revolutions, but it shaped the everyday lives of farmers across the United States in ways more meaningful than any marketing claim. It excelled not by outperforming competitors in a single category, but by delivering strength, consistency, and reliability where it mattered most, through long days, tough soil, and the unrelenting rhythm of agricultural work. In the story of American farming, the W-4 endures as a reminder that the most valuable machines are often the ones that simply refuse to fail.